And even then, like, I didn't really understand what happened. I had this buddy, shout out Rodney, but he's he still lives in the same house, and I bet you can still buy weed from him at the same house. But um, you'd knock on his basement window, and then you'd climb in his window because his dad lived upstairs, and then you'd like smoke. You had to smoke weed with him, or you couldn't buy weed. So like I was the plug. I was the plug. So I would go like pick up weed for me and my buddies, but I'd sit there for like an hour or two smoking weed with this guy. And this was like in 2001, 2012, 2002, I mean. And he'd be showing me all this shit on the internet about 9/11, and I'd just be like, "Oh, whatever, Rodney, just fucking smoke the weed. Let me get out of here," right?
Mm.
And Rodney knew way back then that they weren't telling us the full truth about that. But I think that's the first time, guys, we got the full dose of mass media and what mass media can do to control a population. Then we saw the full power of it during COVID, right, boys? I mean, you guys were in Ireland, which like, so can I ask you? I really want to know. So living here, so I have a lot of family in Canada, friends in Canada. They were on straight up lockdown for 2 years. Like I was seeing like they were having like birthday parties where they'd be like out on the front lawn with like 6 feet apart in chairs wearing masks outside like a year and a half after COVID. But here in Georgia, where I live, within 3 months, it was really kind of up to you. So most people were like, just like, because in 3 months later, you'd go to the grocery store and some people would have masks on, some people wouldn't, some people would be staying away from you, some people wouldn't. What was it like in Ireland during that time?
Well, it was kind of a thing that it was, so there'd be like little, for example, it might say for 3 months, or for 2 weeks, for 2 weeks, or like it started off for 2 weeks or something.
2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah, 2 weeks to
we all got that one.
Yeah, and then it was like, and then again, everyone sheep mentality for the masses. Let's pay attention to the RT news. There is 2 cases of COVID-19. Yeah. There is 14 cases of COVID-19.
Yeah, I remember that. We were doing that too.
Yeah. And so the people were waiting. What's the next plan? Another 2 weeks, another month. Do you know what? Like I was working in the time in a retail shop. So I was doing that with college, and I didn't really get the full experience of a lockdown, if that makes sense, because I was working.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of people who like were mandatory people.
Yeah. What do they call them again?
The frontline workers or something. Because they're on the front lines risking their lives.
We had a 5 kilometer radius. Had you guys that? 5 kilometer radius.
What was that? What's a 5 kilometer radius?
We weren't allowed to travel more than 5k from our homes without a reasonable, and we weren't even allowed to leave our homes without having a reason. And usually the reason had to be you're going for a medical appointment or you're going for groceries. And the police would stop us here. Yeah, they would stop us.
There'd be checkpoints.
Every day about in the car, and the policeman would stop you, and he would say, "What's the purpose of your journey?"
Where are you going? Yeah.
And you'd have to say, "I'm going to the shop." Oh, it was fucking crazy, and they loved it. The guard, or the Gardaí here, we call them the police here, the Gardaí. They a lot of them, they loved it.
A lot of them.
It was easy work for them, a lot of overtime.
The U.S. is like, the weird thing about the U.S. is that like it was different state by state based on like political affiliation or whatever. So I'm sure it was similar in California and New York, but here in Georgia, like I said, like 3 months afterwards, I remember the day. So I remember like within 2 to 3 weeks, I was like running at the park, and there was no one at the park. And I went into the bathroom. And you remember, like, you couldn't go indoors without a mask on. Like, that was like a big thing. There was no one at the park and no one in the bathroom. And I had a mask in my pocket. And I remember it was like 2.5, 3 weeks later, I was like, should I put this mask on? I'm like, no, I'm not fucking putting this thing on. And I just went and I took a piss. And then I remember about 3 months later, I was at the grocery store and there was dudes walking around in the grocery store with no mask on. I was with my wife, and I'm like, I'm not putting this shit on either. But what's interesting about it was like it could divide a whole household.
Yeah.
So COVID started happening when? Like February, March-ish
March,
of
yeah.
2021?
March. Yeah,
2020.
2021?
Or 2020.
2020, yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, my bad. And then it was November, and I hadn't been wearing a mask for months, and but my wife, she just got home. I just waved to her, so I gotta say this quietly. But she was still like all in on this stuff, and most of it was because her parents are old, her mom has a heart condition. You don't want to kill old people, do you? That sort of thing.
Mm.
And Mike Tyson was going to fight Roy Jones Jr. It was like the return of Mike Tyson. And I'm a big fight fan, right? So I had a couple friends coming over. It was like, I was so excited. I was like, some normalcy, right?
Mm.
Mike Tyson is coming. Mike Tyson is fighting. This reminds me of the 90s,
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia. There's no COVID. 3 of my buddies are coming over. We're going to fucking eat some pizza and have a couple brews. It's going to be good. And my wife was like so freaked out. She wanted us to like open the basement windows. I'm in the basement right now where I got my man cave and stuff like that with my big old TV. And, she wanted me to open the windows. And then I like went upstairs and she was like laying on the bed, like all stressed out because I had like 2 or 3, I think my brother and 2 friends over and I wasn't going to open the window or make them wear a mask. And like it was just the weirdest time in history.
Weird. So weird, lad.
But you saw the power of the mass media able to control not just one population of a country, but a population of the entire world. Except for you can go to like indigenous like Australia or like indigenous Africa or whatever, and these motherfuckers weren't wearing masks. You know what I mean?
No.
The Australian government were psychopathic, though. I was seeing clips.
Oh, they were one of the worst.
They went
Canada
nuts,
and the U.S. were Canada and Australia were one of the worst.
And New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, man, Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, New Zealand were bad as well.
They were fucking awful. But we were bad here as well. And the funny thing is like that, you're talking about the power of the media and stuff, but they were telling us in the first couple of weeks here that there was going to be mobile morgues and there wasn't going to be spaces for the bodies and they're going to have to put bodies into hotel rooms and shit. And they were showing us images of people dropping dead on the street in China, and they were showing us pictures of like warehouses like with all these dead bodies, and then all of that went away. Like, so people initially the first couple of weeks were thinking we're going to be seeing people dropping like flies right in front of us. It's like a movie where the virus just succumb to the virus in broad daylight and drop dead on the side of the street. And when that didn't happen, they still continued to believe whatever they were told.
Yep. And now looking back, does it seem rather obvious that was entirely coordinated?
Yeah, like when you're talking about 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then all these politicians around the world, all of them are saying build back better. All of them were saying it, from the UK to Ireland to Australia to America, New Zealand. They were all saying, it's like, lads, it's very obvious that they're all singing off the same hymn sheet.
I don't like to call myself a conspiracy theorist, guys, but like when you see that kind of evidence where you can watch a montage of like reporters from all across the US and all across Canada and all across the world essentially saying the exact same thing. That is rather obvious and also rather scary.